Hey there, we have Tom O'Reilly with us, a new addition to the FXAQ team. And what I wanted to, Tom and I go back a long time, probably over 40 years, I think. And Tom's had a long and storied history in these FX markets. Tom, welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us.
Well, thank you, Fred. Much appreciated. I do have to say I'm very excited to join a team with you and Alex. A couple old veterans, old war horses, and like Fred and Alex, I have 40 plus years in the financial business, and that was spread pretty much over the global interbank market as a voice broker, the execution markets, working for EBS, and then the retail markets.
Yeah,
So
you've spent like the last 20 years or so on the retail side.
I
And
did,
and that
yeah.
was a good transition from what you did at ABS, and they were the forefront of this
No, that's
move to
true.
electronic trading.
That's very true. I mean, the voice broker business was a great business, but like everything else, technology takes over and they found a better way to execute. And that business all but died. There's still some vestiges of it, but that business is pretty much moved over to the execution side, the electronic side of trading. EBS, Reuters, Bloomberg, and those are some of the leaders in that field. So it was actually 1997. I realized that the bottom was falling out, and I joined EBS, who at that time I guess would be considered the enemy, but you got to move on, right? So I joined EBS. I worked there for 6 or 7 years, and then went over to the retail side of things and got another 20 years.
Yeah,
Little,
so as I mentioned earlier, EBS was the forefront of what we see now in electronic trading. When you and
oh
I
yeah,
were on the
yeah,
voice side, I was making markets. I was a market maker at Chase Manhattan Bank,
I
at
remember.
Societe Generale, and a host of others over the years, my 40 plus year career. And the market was an open outcry market, which with each bank being their own exchange, so to speak,
Yes,
right? You would deal with your
that's right.
brokers and you would be a market maker and you had customers that you had to service. And then we had the entrance of the electronic markets in EBS, and it changed the whole landscape of what we knew
Yeah,
because there was no more, there was price discovery. You couldn't hide behind a price. When we
that's true.
dealt back in the late '70s, early '80s, and even the mid '90s, um, dollar mark, which was the precursor of the euro, dollar yen would be 10 pips wide. And
Yeah,
when news would come out, it would be 50 pips wide.
yeah,
And it
or
would be
100.
100. And prices would deal on both sides. And clients would just come in and execute what they had to execute with no fear. And
Yeah,
then with the advent of electronic markets, we got down to, a 10 pip market became a 3 pip market, became a 1 pip market. And now it's 2/10 of a pip,
that's right.
three
That's
tenths of
right.
a pip. So it's brought about a new understanding, and also the next stage was with the advent of the electronic markets. It brought us to the retail space. Without electronics, retail could not be involved to the
That's
extent
true.
that they are.
That's very, very true. You talk about efficiencies, and that's really what it's about. I mean, it's very difficult to explain how the market was back in those, say, 20 years prior to 2000. It was all voice. The remarkable thing about it was that it worked. You literally, from my side of things as a broker, you took out a piece of paper, you put four columns on it: seller, buyer, rate, and amount, right? And you wrote it down. And as you're trading, you wrote it all down. You got, you know, pages of trades, and at the end of the day, you would check out with the bank. I would check out with you and say you sold five here, you bought five here, you did this, that, and it all worked. Occasionally you had your hiccups, but it's all about efficiency. So when we went electronic, of course, I guess the voice broker business unfortunately went the way of the dinosaurs in a sense. So life moves forward, but it's a better market, like you mentioned. The retail market could not have evolved had it not been for these efficiencies.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It opened the door for tens of thousands of new traders to come into the market. I used to say there were three pillars that held up the foreign exchange market in terms of volume. One was the natural business that occurred with people like IBM and International Paper and
yeah,
Coca-Cola and Mercedes-Benz that had natural business to do in the markets. And the second pillar was the risk trades that the banks and the hedge funds took on, and
yeah,
they brought us to the
speculative.
next level, the speculation. And then the third phase, the third pillar, has really, and I think it's really grown enormously in the last 10 years, is the retail side. Even though you have someone with $1,000 account, he's leveraging 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 to 1 in some cases, and he's
Yeah,
taking that $1,000 account and he's trading often, and he's a day trader, and he's
that's
getting in and
true.
out and stepping in and out of these markets.
No, that's very, very true. I think, and that, I guess that retail, the brokerage business has since evolved into the prop trading business. They still exist side by side, but this is a different inversion of it, you know. On that point, working in the retail markets, one of the misconceptions that a lot of traders had was that they were trading against the big boys, right? The banks, the hedge funds, the algo models.
Hmm.
It's somewhat true, but not really true because everybody's trading in the same liquidity pool. Now, the big boys may have better access to information. They may have better spreads. They may have better models, but they're all trading in the same market in a sense, right? It's like fishing in a lake. They may have a better boat, better equipment. They know where the fish are, maybe a little better than you, but you're all fishing in the same lake. You
What I
know,
used to explain to people who would bring up that point to me, retail investors, and I'd say, when the market was in its infancy, brokers could manipulate the market against
yeah,
a large retail trader.
yes,
If you had 50 retail clients and five of them had the same position, all in the same direction, well, the broker had the technology and the ability to manipulate that market. Now,
yeah.
most brokers have thousands of clients, and you may have 300 that are long and 300 that are short and
That's right.
400 that have no position at the moment. So, really, if you manipulate the market against one, you're putting it in favor of someone else,
That's
right?
right.
And I
And
think,
and and
you
the
know,
algos will pick that up immediately.
yeah,
If you try to move a market and you move your bid up 2/10 of a pip, you're going to own them,
yeah,
and it's going to correct,
yeah.
which is a great point about the market, Fred.
Yeah, there's so many people involved now that it's very difficult to manipulate the market.
Yeah.
So, you brought up prop trading and what prop firms do. Expand on that a little bit. Explain a little bit.
Well, one thing that really draws me to FXAQ is the focus on education, because there's literally hundreds of prop firms out there, and like the retail brokerage, they pretty much follow the same model, right? You you come in, you have your risk parameters, you have your profit levels, everybody's pretty much the same, with some nuances. But I think a focus on education. I mean, if you look at Alex's book, right, which
The
you can
ebook
get,
that he had for the CFST model. Yeah,
that's right, which you can download for free on the website. It's 250 odd pages of a wealth of information. I mean, I read through it, and believe me, I learned a lot.
right.
And I've been doing this 40 years. So
Yeah,
if you understand what's behind making a market move, it's not the big boys pushing it or this and that. There's a lot going on. There's the futures market, there's the bond market, there's central
central
banks,
banks.
there's fiscal policy, monetary policy, all these things. You have to have a pretty good understanding of it. And
Yeah,
if you can take that information, and then the other side of it, of course, is to have in place, good risk models, control of emotions, greed, fear. Everybody
discipline.
knows,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you let your losses run too much and you cut your profits too soon. There's a wealth of mistakes that can be corrected, and behind all this is information, education.
You know, a lot of young traders that I look at, they just want to focus on looking at the chart and having the chart tell them, or having
Yep,
a signal tell them I have to buy or I have to sell. And I've always found that to be too simplistic. The market is much more nuanced than that.
yes,
When I traded, yeah, I used charts very often, but I had a fundamental view of whether I wanted to be long, short, or square, and then I let the charts tell me when I can enter and when I should exit.
that's right.
You know,
That's right.
you have to have a fundamental view in your heart in order to be able to take on risk. It's the same with anything in life. You want to bet on a football game, you have to know the teams, the quarterbacks. You want to,
That's
you want
right.
to know who's in, and then you can make your bet. Everybody says that the line in the football game evens everything out, and to a certain extent, it does. But in order to put your money on the line, you need to have a feeling in your heart that what
That's
you're
right.
comfortable with.
That's so true. And at best, I mean, if you get 55, 60% success rate betting football, you're way ahead of everybody else, you know.
Sure.
Because football, like the markets, tend to correct.
Yeah.
You pay for your mistakes and you profit from that little bit of knowledge or intuition that you have.
Yeah. And
So
you mentioned prop again. I just want to go back to what these prop firms do. And the benefit that I've seen, you have a young trader, someone that wants to learn the game. In the traditional broker model, they go in, they open up an account for $1,000 or $5,000, and they have some leverage, and immediately they blow up.
yeah,
Right? And
yeah,
immediately, the statistics say that 85% of the new traders in the market will get to themselves to the point where they'll have zero left at the end of the day,
yeah,
and then they
which
re
is
up again. So
yep,
the way I understand the prop model is you're getting something for it. When you open up a prop challenge, you're really only risking that amount of money. You open up a futures account and you have unlimited risk. You open up
yeah,
a stock account, you have unlimited risk, especially if you go short or long.
yeah,
So with a prop firm, you open up a challenge, you have all the parameters, and then your potential success, if you hit your hurdles, is to get a live funded account
that's right.
without depositing any more money. You have the opportunity to learn, and one of the things, the benefits of FXAQ is you have access to the videos that are posted about each chapter. You have the downloaded ebook that Alex Chea was able to put together. There's a lot of benefits about the education that comes through, and really saves people a lot of time and effort and money. And if they want to learn how to trade and learn what the markets are all about, that's a great vehicle as far as I see.
You pointed out the fundamental difference between a traditional brokerage account and a prop account. A prop account, what you can lose is just the nominal amount of money you put down to go into a contest. The upside, if you're successful, is almost unlimited. But again, I keep coming back to Alex's book. It covers everything. I learned so much just reading it myself, and I've been doing this for 40 some odd years. But if you put the time in, you read the book, you understand all the moving parts. Why does the market move? It's not always it's not always visible. There's a lot of underlying things going on in the market. So, I think FXAQ, our focus is that education and continuing education. You have the book, but we're going to have podcasts. We're going to have, you and I have been in the bank trading industry forever, and we'll have some ex bank traders on, the hedge fund guys, and the idea is to learn from them. And I think that's what
Right.
makes a difference with FXAQ. That's our
Right.
focus.
And I don't like the model where you have some talking head say, "I just bought, you should buy," or "I just
No,
sold,
I
you should
agree with
sell."
you. I
No,
agree, Fred.
we're going to tell you about some of the successes that we've had over the years. Some of the failures
Yeah.
are sometimes more important to learn what the
Under
failures are.
That is so true.
Yeah,
I it's funny if you on WhatsApp you always get these guys. Well, I have a great stock picks, and people jump in and the whole thing's a scam.
yep.
So there's no shortcuts here. You have to you have to do the work. The more you learn, the more you control your emotions, the more you manage risk and stick to your programs and put your stop losses, you take profits where they should be, your entries, your exits, you learn all that, you stick by it, it's discipline, and you'll be successful. There's a lot of 20-year-old kids, 30-year-old people who make a living trading. That's
It's
their
like
job.
going to the gym. You could
Yeah.
buy the gym membership. You could put, a weight room in your house. You have
Yeah.
to go and use it. You know,
Guilty as charged.
you have to go in and spend that, hour a day to
That's
build
true.
yourself up to get to the point where it's going to be worthwhile. Just
No,
buying that treadmill is not going to help you to do
no,
cardio.
no, no.
And it's the
Becomes a
same with
clothes
trading.
hanger.
Yeah, it's the same with trading. You can't, just putting just buying something from someone is not going to teach you how to trade.
No, no. And there's so many people out there that'll try to sell you a system or signals, and you know some are legit, most are not. But there's no shortcuts.
Right. There's no easy way out. There's no easy way around it. It
No,
really is. The ebook makes things, it opens your eyes to a lot of things in the background.
no doubt about it. And there are a lot of things in the background. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he gets into absolutely everything, options, all everything. And once you finish that book, you're gonna have a much better knowledge and a much better chance of success.
And the motto of the FXAQ team is learn while you earn.
Learn while you earn.
You know, you can read that book, then you read your financial papers, your financial websites, and make your decision and say, all right, I'm going to use what I just learned last night, what I read, and I'm going to take a position on the FXQ website based on what I know. And then
That's
you,
right.
you prove to yourself if that's the right strategy and where your entry and exit points are, and you take it from there.
That's right. Learn while you earn. Learn, practice, succeed.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the goal. That's the goal.
it's a simple model.
Yeah,
And I think one of the things that I've enjoyed about FX and markets and trading and the camaraderie that we had is twofold. I've learned a lot. I've traveled the world. I've made friends that I never would have had.
true.
Every financial center of the world, I could walk in and be able to have a drink with somebody and
That's
consider
right.
them a friend. But more important than that is bringing the young people along. There are so many young people that I've had that work with me in trading desks that have become very successful. One
Yep.
opened up his own family office with serious money under management. Another opened up an FX retail brokerage shop, very successful. Another one is the CEO of a prime broker, European based. So
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of young people grow, and it's certainly not me. It's their time and their effort. But I feel like I've had something to do along the way to instill in someone some of the positive work ethic, to point them in the right direction. Sometimes it's just a matter of saying, rethink that. That's
Yeah.
all. Give that
Yeah.
give that another
Yeah.
thought. You may be right.
Yeah.
You may be right. Just rethink
Well,
that.
you as a trader, Fred, and you certainly have a long story history there, but I'm sure you always had a position clerk, and that position clerk was a young guy, maybe fresh out of college or whatever, didn't have a clue, but
Yep.
as he sits and he watches you trade and the other traders in the room, and especially this new generation, Gen Z, they're fired up. I mean, they jump on, these are the guys that jumped onto crypto. They're into these prediction markets, the prop
Yeah.
trading, Robinhood. They're on the ball, and which is a great thing. We really didn't have too much of that when
It's
we were
true.
when we were coming up.
Yeah. Technology has really opened that up for everyone.
No, that's so true.
You have a trading platform on your phone. 24.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
incredible. The opportunity is there. You just got to put the work in, and and you get a real chance of success.
Yeah. So once again, FXAQ, go to the FXAQ website, fxaq.com. You can download the ebook. You can sign up for a challenge. You can reach out to any of us on the group, and any questions you have, we'll be happy to entertain and help you through. But we just want to be able to help young people grow, and old people too. You see a lot of old people in the
That's right. A
market
couple of
these
us
days.
old.
That's right. Give them an opportunity to enjoy some of the fruits that we've been successful at over the years.
That's so true, Fred. And again, I'm so excited to be joining you and Alex, and I think good things ahead.
Yeah, yeah. The team is very excited to have you. I know you've had a lot of opportunities, and based on the conversations that we've had, the education that we're pushing is something that's been important to you from our previous conversations. So,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
All right, Tom. Well, I think that wraps up this session, but we will certainly do this again and build it up and take it to the next step. But I
You
think it's
betcha,
been a great
Fred.
start.
Thanks a lot, bud.
Congratulations again. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.